The following podcast is a proud member of the Blue Collar Roots Network. Find all the shows by visiting bluecollarroots.com. Here's the president and primary owner of TrueTech Tools, licensed engineer, and the nicest BS artist you will ever meet, Bill Spohn.
Welcome back to another episode of the Building HVAC Science Podcast. What's our goal? To help create better, more knowledgeable HVAC and building performance technicians by helping them work together, and with the ultimate goal of trying to make customers happy, not happy, what is happy really, in the homes that they live in and the buildings they work in. So today we're taking another twist. I've been doing that a lot lately. Maybe 2019 will be the year of twisting. Hopefully there won't be a lot of shouting. Twist and shout for those of you that gather that reference. We're taking a little curveball episode here. We'll be talking to Luke Hansen. He's formed a company called CompanyCam, and he's going to talk about his journey from this concept to capture photos and make it easy to add notes to them, to store them, to share them, etc. So let's listen in as Luke tells us about the CompanyCam, which I think is a great app. Really, it's a service. It's a little paid for service, but it's something that can be used by folks out there trying to do technical work and share that information, record it before, after, share with the customer, etc. If you wish to get a hold of this app, you can go to www.companycam.com. And if you do companycam.com/BHS for Building HVAC Science, there'll be a special offer for listeners of this podcast. So tune in to what Luke has to say about this product and learn a little bit more about it. Luke, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bill. How are you?
Pretty good. So, Luke, you actually approached me to come on the show. So I think you sort of saw the connection between what we're doing and communicating to HVAC and building performance people, an interesting product you developed. So tell our listeners a little bit about what the product is. Just give us a quick overview and then we'll dig into it.
I actually come from the roofing industry, and I was struggling. My father owns a roofing company, in trying to sort of document our work and keep that organized so that we could see what was happening in real time, but also have photo documentation going into the past. And we had right around 100 employees. So it was complicated to organize things and to try to put people through a process of organizing the photos they were taking and the notes they were taking in the field. And so we built an app called CompanyCam. It uses the GPS on your phone or your iPad or Android, whatever device you have, to automatically organize the photos you're taking to that job location, and then stores all the photos your company are taking together so that you can easily search it, find what you're looking for, and even get kind of a stream of photos real time that shows you the latest updates from every job. And that's definitely a problem in roofing. There's a lot of coordination of getting materials around, but we also found with HVAC that there's a real interest in photo documentation. So if you go back later, you see what's there, and so that you can solve problems in real time. So there's a lot of kind of other features that pop off of that and a lot of other things you can do with it. But the real core is you got guys taking photos out in the field. We want to take that process down to one step, where you just take the photos and they're organized. You can find them when you need them, and just really simplifying that for our customers.
And it's mainly targeted for people doing contracting work, so buildings, roofing, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
When did you start this? When did the idea come up?
It was 2014 when I started thinking along these lines. I got put in charge of managing a division of our company that I wasn't an expert in. It was kind of the siding and gutters stuff that a lot of roofing companies do. And we were just making some mistakes and we weren't planning properly. And I kept thinking, like, we need more photos so we can sit around here, talk through these jobs and do it right. But there wasn't any solution I could find that would really simplify it for our guys. I tried to get them in the DropBox and in these other places. And there was too many kind of pitfalls, because when you're busy and you're running around, which is kind of the nature of contracting work, one of the first things to go are the little simple processes of, well, you got to get this photo into the right folder. It's like one of these things is a little bit of an afterthought. So if we slide forward, let's say March of 2015 is when we actually started the company, CompanyCam. And then we launched our product in July of 2015. to almost zero fanfare. Yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing, to be honest. And then 2016, we started to pick up some steam. And we've really been growing. We've got over 2,500 companies now using CompanyCam every day. And we're adding almost 1 million photos a week now stored. And so it's going really well and people are really liking it, but we definitely came from humble beginnings.
It automates a process step, which is tedious. People forget to do, maybe not do it correctly. You just sort of make it easy. I like that. You just take the picture, just take the photo,
Yep.
and it gets tagged.
We want to put time back in people's day, really, because a lot of things take time. You think about kind of a lot of the tedious things you do. Now there's software that can help you do it faster, but sometimes the software or the app or the thing can get in your way and it can be an extra. Oh, now I've got to do extra work. And so our real goal is like, you want to do this, you need this information. Can we make it so simple that it isn't a chore? So then it actually gets done and you have it when you need it. So yeah, I always like to talk about all the nifty little features and, you can take these great before and after photos and you can create these simple photo reports and share photos with the customer. There's a lot of things that wrap around that, but at its core, it's getting organized and seeing everything in real time.
Over the span of time, it's just been a few short years, but you must have some anecdotes, anything where people have used it and come back to you and said, man, this is great. It saved me, whatever. Any kind of experiences?
We hear a lot of those type of stories, and I don't go 100% self-promotion here, though we do like to self-promote. The saving time is key. So we have had several customers say that it just saves them an hour a day, that they're home with their family earlier. And a lot of that is that they can kind of manage and see what's happening without feeling like they have to be at the place to go make sure the job gets finished right. My dad, for example, he runs our family's roofing company, which I used to work at. And when I go over to his house, I've got 3 little kids. And so we try to find ourselves over there as much as possible to spread the parenting load. But he'll be sitting there looking at his phone. And, most people are looking at Facebook or Instagram or the news or something. And he's always just looking at CompanyCam and answering the question of, is Jose's job going to finish? Did Adam get that repair done that he said he was going to get done? And it's like, instead of being kind of on the phone and checking in constantly, he's taking that information in and then he can act on it in real time. So the other day, you may not know this, but water runs downhill. That's a very important fact in roofing that sometimes people forget. And a guy was putting some flashing on incorrectly, and one of the guys on the crew was taking some photos. And my dad immediately saw this is going to leak. So he called the guy, told him, and we got it straightened out before the siding got put back on, before it was all put back together. And that's something that would have been a problem for us. It would have been 12 months or a year before they knew it was leaking, but then we would have been replacing rotten wood. We would have just had a mess that we didn't have before. And that's a roofing story. But in HVAC, what I hear a lot of is I've got a tech, let's say, that's a little bit new or that just isn't as experienced. Maybe he's been doing it for a few years. And I've got other guys who've been doing it for 25 years and they just have seen it all. And the new guy can go out, he can work, and he can document what he's doing with CompanyCam. And when he runs into something he hasn't seen before, something unexpected, and he snaps a photo of it, he can tag other people on that photo, kind of like on Facebook, how you can mention people on a comment. He can then almost crowdsource or collaboratively solve any problem that he runs into with the rest of the knowledge of the company in that moment. And that has been, I can't actually pull the specific story out of my mind, but that's the general story I'm hearing from our HVAC customers, is that they love having the records so they can find it, but they really like that immediate problem solving that doesn't require a bunch of text exchanges or someone else driving out to the site to look at it. It's kind of like they can have these conversations underneath a photo and sort of collaborate on figuring out what they need to do in that particular case, which is a novel or different situation than they would normally see.
In the sense that everyone might think, well, geez, I've got that in my smartphone or whatever. I've already got this. But it's that organizational capability. And you had mentioned to me before the call that you can even do like note taking and highlighting, things like that, that'll sort of enhance the photo, right?
Yep. So when you go out to a job site or wherever the kind of work location is, it's going to use your GPS on your phone to say, hey, it looks like you're at this job. And it'll even pull the address automatically. And then once you take that photo, you can draw on the photo with your finger, like pop arrows on there with text. And we try to make these very simple tools to get as much information in those photos as possible. You can record a voice note that will stay connected to the photo. Like I said, you can mention people. We want to allow you to get all of that information on the photo because it's so much more valuable to have that information in context. You can write notes in like a CRM or in some system and even upload a few photos in there. But when it's kind of unified, when it's like, here's the photo, here's my little commentary on it, or here's an arrow pointing to the spot that we're having the issue, it's just more valuable and more useful that way. And then we have ways to share a link with the customer that will continually update them on the progress, or to create a PDF photo report to shoot out to an insurance company or to the customer. There's a bunch of other splinters off of this. We want to put this information to work across your company. And one thing I've been really surprised about with our HVAC customers is the amount of before and after photos we see. So we developed a way for you to use any photo, like the before photo, and then it'll kind of lay it over the camera screen so you can see through it and line up that after photo. So you get like kind of the perfectly aligned before and after. And then after you take that after photo, it will lay out. It's kind of like one of those layout apps or something where it'll say before and after, and it's got this style to it, and it's got your company logo on it. In 5 seconds, it'll just auto generate one of these, and you can click through the little templates to kind of lay it out differently. But in my mind, I wasn't anticipating that HVAC would be a big use case for the before and after. It's not glamorous exactly to get a new...
It's not exterior. It's
a new unit. Yeah. You know, like if you put all new windows and doors and siding and you kind of redo the look of a house, that was like my expectation. But we are just seeing a ton of before and after photos from our HVAC customers. I think part of it is just the proof. There's accountability in this is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. But they're also using it in their marketing, because what I've realized from talking to some of them is that anyone can tell the difference between, even if you don't know anything about HVAC or plumbing or electrical, you can tell the difference between old and dirty and disgusting compared to new and pretty and clean. And we've just seen a ton of these go out and guys sharing them on their social media and putting them on their website because they look really nice. Like our marketing team is really solid here with what they put together. But yeah, I feel like I'm just rambling about the app now. I could literally talk about it all day. So you have to rein me in, make sure that I'm following the path.
You download the app, you take the photo. Now, what happens? You tag it, make notes on it, whatever, do the before after thing. What happens to the photo? Is it stored on your phone? Where does it store it? Where does it go next?
By default, and this is important, by default, they will not store on your phone. So once we've confirmed that they've uploaded to the cloud, into our storage system, which we run all of our infrastructure on the Amazon Web Services. Amazon's got the biggest kind of cloud network. It's lightning fast, super secure, and reasonably priced. And so the photos by default are going to be stored on the cloud, which creates a really nice separation from your personal photos and your work photos. So I know like any guy that's listening to this podcast will probably scroll back through his phone's camera or photo feed app on his phone and see pictures of his kids and then pictures of ductwork and pictures of mold. It's all kind of mixed in together. And we are trying to create a separation there so that when you take photos in CompanyCam, that's work stuff. It's stored in a different place. It's not taking up space on your phone. It's just separate. When you have all of your phone storage now for your personal stuff, for your personal photos, videos, and apps, and whatever you have on there. Now, you can just toggle a switch and it will save all the photos right to your phone into your Photos app, along with saving them in the cloud. So you can have even more redundancy there. But we've found that most of our customers, they don't want these photos mixed in with their personal photos. They really like that it's separate and it's just two places. And then for the owner or manager of a contracting company or an HVAC company, to know that if one of your techs or your salespeople leave the company, or if you have to fire them, that all of their content that's related to the work, all of their photos and videos and that stuff is saved in CompanyCam. You won't lose it when you delete that person out of CompanyCam. It's not on their phone. It's like kind of essentially company property that is all saved together.
Makes sense. Now, you had mentioned store with your photos and videos. Does it do videos at all?
We are releasing the ability to do video in the next month. We haven't yet. And actually, HVAC has been one of the main drivers of moving us toward video.
I would say so, yeah, because things are moving.
Exactly.
Roofs don't move too much, right?
No, yeah, exactly. You take that picture and that's what it looks like. But when you have a system, and that's our audio recording, because you can record audio and connect that to a photo, that's somewhere in the middle. But video, it's just, we found is crucial in the HVAC space. And so we've developed video recording. We're trying to keep it really simple because storing videos is a lot more than storing photos. We just want to make sure we do it right. So we've built it out. It works really smoothly, really well. And we will be doing video here very, very soon.
What I see a lot of, I belong to a lot of different Facebook groups mostly, and people actually post out there, can you help me with this? Sort of like post it out to crowdsource to help with an answer. And is this strictly within the company confines, or say there's an owner operator working by themselves? Could they share it with people outside of the organization? How could that work?
The default way that it works, it's very much an internal tool for your company. The photos that you're taking will only be able to be seen by people at your company that have a login and that you have granted access to. Because you can set someone's permissions so that they can only see their own photos or things like that. Because there are cases where you may not want someone at your company to be able to see the photos that everyone is taking. The default is that it's internal and then it's open. Now, there are several ways to share. You can really quickly create little photo galleries that you can share with a link. I did a video the other day where I shared 1,200 photos in 20 seconds through email because it just generates a link. It's really simple. You can download it. And then we don't have like a forum or kind of a way for you to just share it to other CompanyCam users and get opinions on it. It's funny that you mentioned that because my brother, who manages a division of our family's roofing company, was talking to me about that same thing the other day, that he saw value in kind of crowdsourcing of problem solving. And I know I'm on Facebook and Reddit and these places on the internet. Like I'm in the HVAC. It's actually usually like funny pictures that I'm seeing of like, can you believe what these last guys did? But what we're also building right now is the collaborative element so that you can take any project in CompanyCam and you can share that project with another, well, with anyone really. And then that person can take photos, comments, and you can use it as a collaborative tool on a project. That is coming in its most robust form. And the idea there is that you may be working with a plumber and a drywaller and a carpet guy or something, and you could all share this one project, take photos, comment, kind of back and forth, and really have everything stored in one place. But you can just send a link to the customer and they can upload photos. I mean, they could take photos of this is the problem I'm seeing or that kind of stuff, because we've had interest in getting information from the customer before you go out. And that's kind of a part of why we're building this collaboration. We're trying to just build in a lot of collaboration. But as of now, like right this moment, there isn't that kind of forum functionality unless if you're a one guy, kind of one van operation, then the collaborative nature of it now wouldn't be great. But if you have 5, 10, 20 guys out in the field, there is that internal collaboration. And that's what I see if I go into any of our customers' accounts. Like the average photo that has a comment on it has 5 comments. So it's like you take a photo, someone will say, what should we do here? And it's like, if someone has taken the time to write a comment under that photo, then it has an average of 5, which we found really interesting. It's like, but people are really using it as kind of what you're saying, but internal to their company.
So I'm not a photo tech person, but is there anything like branding or sort of tagging the photo that it's property of the company? Has that ever come up or been in your kind of scope of interest?
The default is that the photos are locked in to your CompanyCam account. It's not like anyone else has access to them. I think what you're asking about is sort of like a watermark. And by default, we do not watermark the photos. That's not something that people have been interested in. Now, when you create like a before and after photo for the purposes of marketing, that will have your logo on it. We have a space where you just upload your logo, and then every photo gallery that you share, every report that you create, every PDF report, every before and after photo that you share, and are soon to be released publishing photos directly to your WordPress website. That's going to be a really cool thing. But all of that is all branded with your company logo so that it can't just be passed off as someone else's work. But we found that most people don't want all of their photos watermarked, and that since they're the only people that have access to them, if they decide to share them on social media, then it's always pretty easy to go back and figure out kind of whose it really is. So yeah, we don't watermark by default. We want to kind of keep the integrity of the photo, but anything that's sort of meant to be shared in a sense will have the company logo plastered on it.
It's obviously a business. Can you talk about your fees, your pricing, or your model, your customer model?
Yes, we keep it really simple and straightforward, and we publish it all on our website. We charge $12 a month per user, and that gets you unlimited projects, unlimited photos, unlimited everything. It's just $12 a head. So anyone that you want to have access or to take photos out in the field, you pay $12 a month, and then we are going to store that up to infinity, and it's just $12 a month. So if you have 10 guys, $120 a month for unlimited photo storage and organization. The problem people know that they have is usually around the photo storage and organization. What they realize when they start using CompanyCam is that getting this feed, we call it the project feed, of the latest photos from every job where everyone is working. That's why people don't quit using CompanyCam, is that you're just getting so much more real-time information, and they're cutting down on their driving around and their phone calls. That's what's really sticky, but people don't really know that they need that. It's not something that people are Googling, how do I get a real-time photo feed of all my work? But it's when you start using it, you realize just how much time you were spending trying to sort out all these problems via text message and stuff that you're just not anymore. So that was a little diversion there, but it's $12 a month per guy. Super simple, no startup costs, cancel anytime. We don't make it hard to cancel. I think I want to highlight that because sometimes it's like, you got to call and explain yourself to us. It's like, no.
Right. And they never let you go.
Yeah. You click a button. That stuff drives me crazy. Like, I don't want to put in my credit card before I've tried it. And if I want to quit, just let me walk away. Don't make it hard for me to quit. And so we're not going to hold your photos hostage. I mean, it's all your stuff. Like, you can download it to your computer at any time, keep it. We have all sorts of integrations where you can push it to DropBox or push it over to Successware 21 or different solutions where you can sync it up. It's all your stuff. And we're going to make it easy to get in, easy to get out, and just keep it all simple, because I think long term, you can trick people. Like, I've paid for stuff that I didn't want to because I forgot to cancel it. But to me, that's just not a long-term strategy for success. That's just short-term thinking that never works out.
What about if you're working in a rural area or an area where your phone plan doesn't work? How do you handle that?
Everything will still work in CompanyCam. It's just that your photos aren't going to sync back up until you get internet again. So we don't want to store the photos on your phone, like I said, because we don't want to take up a whole bunch of space. But we do store them kind of inaccessible to you in a sense, but we store them until we have confirmed that they've uploaded and are saved in the cloud. If you're out at some job that we're based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and as you can imagine, you drive about 20 miles in any direction and there's not much. Usually you have cell phone service, but it's spotty. And so that was key for us from the beginning, is this has to work offline. And naturally, some things, like, you won't have access to everything if you don't have internet connection, because that's the name of the game. But you can always capture the photos. You can draw on them. You can comment. You can do everything that you would want to do. It's just that they will not sync up until you're back in service. And then when you are and you open the app, it'll upload all of those old photos, and they'll still have the right timestamp. And I guess that's another important thing. Every photo that's taken, you know where it was taken, when it was taken, and who took it. You can always search and sort and filter and find things based on those 3 pieces of information. And if you're in a no service area and you come back into service, it will show the time the photo was taken and the time it was uploaded, so that we just want to put all that information front and center, because some people use it for kind of a simple time tracking, because there's really good proof, like, hey, I'm here. Here's a photo of me in front of this job, time stamped. It's all right there. It's a really good way of kind of accountability for where people are. We keep all that information out in front of you, and it definitely works even if you're in the boonies. Or what we found is that sometimes as an HVAC guy, you're in the basement. In roofing, hey, you're standing right on the roof. You got as good a chance as anything at getting a cell phone signal. But if you're in the basement of that commercial building, it could be that you just don't have service for whatever reason. And we've got your back on that one.
It sounds like you come from sort of like when I started my business, it was sort of built out of frustration. There's no solution for what I want to do. I can't believe someone isn't doing this. So you started to build something. That's a fantastic story. However, because you have a lot of passion for your product, are there competing products out there, and how do you view them, or how do you differentiate?
Our main competitor is kind of like a good enough solution. Like, well, we only have 6 guys and we use DropBox and that just works. My guys know the process and they get it all in there. And when we get people to try CompanyCam and they kind of see we don't bury things in folders. So everything is connected to a job. And then it just goes down in this photo timeline and it's all right out in front of you. It's really easy to kind of peruse in a sense. You don't have to go specifically looking for a specific thing, though you can. Once they see that value, a lot of it is in that real-time photo feed. We win them over because you just get so much more information than you do of clicking through all these folders in your Dropbox. There's 1 or 2 companies that have just kind of popped up that are doing something similar, or at least in the ballpark. And I'm not saying their name because I don't want to tell people what they are. I just, for the life of me, cannot. It's a weird flip zip or something. Flat Zap. It does a similar type of a thing. It doesn't have nearly as many features because it's just younger, and I don't want to say anything bad about it, but that exists. But really, our long-term goal is to be able to capture all the information you want to capture in the field. So that's photos, notes. We also scan documents. We have a really good document scanner so that you can scan in contracts, receipts connected to a job, all of that. But then we want to allow you to communicate effectively around that. And so we're constantly building in like this collaboration, the sharing. To me, the documentation is there to facilitate the communication. And that's what we are really trying to do. And so no one else is really doing that right now. Now, sometimes, for example, if you've got customers listening to this podcast that use Service Titan or Desco or whatever that has become now. I get the names confused, and sometimes it's like their photo thing isn't maybe quite as easy to use as ours or doesn't have as many bells and whistles, but it's good enough. That's our main competition, is something that is good enough to where people aren't really feeling the pain. We still try to work through that because a lot of people end up coming over and using both, but we don't have another company that we bump into when we're talking to potential customers. It's really just, oh, I heard about you guys from a buddy of mine who loves it, can't live without it. Can you show it to me? It's a lot of that kind of stuff as opposed to competing over customers with other people. Though I do think in the future we will have competition because it's too important of a thing, this sort of visual communication and documentation for contractors, to not run into competition. And our thinking is we want to integrate with everyone. Your data with us, it will always be open. You will always be able to get it out. You will always be able to connect it to another service. Like, we are never going to say, hey, we're locking it in and you can only do X, Y, Z with it.
Your end game's not sneaky. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have to fit into that ecosystem, and capturing photos and information and communicating around that is not the only thing your company has to do. You've got to do accounting, billing, dispatching, training, all sorts of stuff. And the photos can be important in every step there. And so they talk about in startups, talk about a moat. How do you protect your business? And we're not protecting it with a bunch of patents or with stuff like that. Like, our thought is we want to bring as much value as possible, and we want to connect with the other services people are using. And insofar as they like using our service, they will keep doing it. And then we just have to keep getting better. And we have very, very low customer churn. And a lot of that is just because people come in and we charge a reasonable price. It really helps them and they stick around.
Do you do what you're supposed to do? Yeah. And it sounds like you incorporate a lot of feedback with your customers, with your end users too. So how could someone learn more about this? I know you got a website. Well, why don't you tell me what it is?
I'll tell you what we will do. We'll throw up a page just for your customers and give them like a special deal. The website is CompanyCam.com. It's CompanyCam.com. And what would you like? We can just put a slash after that and maybe go CompanyCam.com/TrueTech. Would that work for you?
That's my business. This podcast is Building HVAC Science, which there's transparency there that I am the owner of the business. But
yeah,
how about BHS?
BHS. Perfect. So it'll be CompanyCam.com/BHS. And there'll be a special offer on that page. It'll be at least like a month free, maybe a discount after that. We'll just put a special offer on there so that anyone that comes to that page, CompanyCam.com/BHS, and there'll be just a special deal for people who are listening to this podcast. We appreciate you guys listening and just maybe checking us out. And then we do these free kind of little training deals or demos for people. Like, our whole mentality is we think that it's really going to help you. So we want to show you how that's going to work. And we don't want to in any way try to trick you or lock you in, or we won't tell you how much it costs until you call us. Like, I just don't believe in that stuff. And so we'd love for people to check it out. And we've got some stories on there from some HVAC customers that are using it that could kind of talk through the value, but that's where you can find us.
Great. I really enjoyed talking with you today. Any closing thoughts for us?
Oh boy, I got a lot of opinions. Buy some Bitcoin while it's down.
Yeah.
Don't get crazy about politics. Be kind to one another. No.
Sometimes I ask people for their favorite quote or their favorite book or something like that. So I don't know if you want to go that direction.
Yeah, oh man, a lot of books that I love. I just read this Jordan Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life, which I really enjoyed. He's talking about things that I find really, really interesting. And then as far as a favorite quote, someone once told me, I've never learned anything from someone that agrees with me. Or maybe it's you never learn something from someone who agrees with you, which I found really interesting, that you learn a lot from people that you don't agree with about everything, or that don't have your sort of shared history of understanding of the world. And I don't know, you look around right now and it feels like everyone's losing their mind. So not that that's any sage wisdom, but that book, 12 Rules for Life, is a wonderful, wonderful book. If anyone wanted to pick it up, that'd be great. Otherwise, check out CompanyCam. You save time in your day, more time for reading. And it's a win-win.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, Luke, I really enjoyed having you here. I'm really glad you got in touch with me and we got a chance to talk here today and to get your story and your product out in front of the listeners to our podcast.
Bill, I appreciate it too. It was really enjoyable, and I think you've got a good thing going here, man.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll wrap it up here today, and want any of the listeners out there to subscribe or come back again to hear the next edition of the Building HVAC Science podcast. Well, I hope you got something out of this episode with Luke Hansen of CompanyCam. I've tried to manage photos and other documents in DropBox, and I know it takes really a lot of discipline to keep things organized, and to have an app do this for the fee that they're charging, saving you hours of time and effort cataloging the photos, searching for ones that you took, I think it's a really great idea. And I really enjoyed talking with Luke. He's a real sincerity to this guy. Building HVAC Science is part of the Blue Collar Roots Network. It's a podcast made possible by me, Bill Spohn. I'm a co-owner at TrueTech Tools, and by the help of Brian Orr, who's my producer for this and who got me into podcasting. So thanks again, Brian. And there are other trade-related podcasts that Brian's helped form in this Blue Collar Roots Network. You can go to bluecollarroots.com to find out about those other great podcasts that are going on. If you like what you heard today and you've not subscribed to the podcast, please consider doing so by typing Building HVAC Science into the search bar of any one of your typical podcasting services. You can also listen directly in your browser at bluecollarroots.com/building-HVAC-science. You can also follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in Building HVAC Science. You'll follow us there. See other news and announcements, and always be aware of the latest release of an episode of a podcast. But best way is really to subscribe. So thank you for listening in. And if you find any of this interesting, please give me a shout out. Give me a call back. Reach me at bill@bluecollarroots.com. Also, if you're looking in the market for any tools or test instruments, or if you're a consumer looking for things like carbon monoxide detectors, we have them all at TrueTech Tools, my company. You can use the code HVACBS for a very nice discount. And again, in full disclosure, I'm an owner at TrueTech Tools. Well, thanks again for you listening in to the Building HVAC Science podcast, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.